G'day guys, Jeff here from the Friday Frothy and welcome to the new mini-series called Legends of the Lanes. This is a tenpin bowling show where I'm going to be talking to legends of Australian tenpin bowling, both past and present, and reconnecting with some very, very good mates. So I hope you like what we're doing here. If you do, please like, subscribe and tell your friends. But right for now, welcome to the show. Grab yourself a froth. This is the Friday Frothy, Legends of the Lanes. Got some fantastic bowlers coming up in the next couple of weeks, and we also have a fantastic bowler on tonight. This guy comes from Queensland. He's been around for a long time. He's like a bottle of red wine. He just keeps getting better and better. Please welcome Graeme Morgan to Legends of the Lanes. G'day Graeme, how are you, mate? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good buddy.
Mate, you've just finished up there on the Sunshine Coast in the ANC, I believe, yeah? Over 50s?
Yeah, very interesting week, very long week, and you learn a lot about yourself while you're trying to bowl, as you
Yeah,
do every time you bowl.
yeah, I bet. Hey, I opened the show up before you came on. My little opening segment, and I said you're like an old bottle of wine, which just keeps getting better and better as years go by. What's the secret, mate? How have you sustained such a long career? I mean, you've always been competitive in tournaments, high league averages, and now you've got into the senior game, and you're absolutely dominating. How's that transition been for you?
I think it stems right back from like watching the Alan Atkins and the Tom Curries of the world when I first started bowling, and I had no idea, and I just watched what they did, and I thought I want to be like them. So through countless conversations with people over the years, and because there was no coaches really, I didn't even know tournaments existed, to be honest. So these idols, I just sort of like went and watched them and went, I want to be like them, and I'm a competitive person by nature. So I went, well, okay, what do I got to do? So you have a million failures in this sport, and it's nice to have some success along the way. And I'm one of these people that I'm never happy.
Yeah,
I could be averaging 250 in a tournament. I'm still never happy. And I think
yeah,
that's what's kept me up. That's what's kept me up with the young guys. I mean, you look across and you see the people in the sport today, and I think, how good are you? And you're just a target to me. So, if I can beat you, that's great. If you spank me, that's, I walk away a bit wounded, and, but at the end of the day, it's what keeps me at the level that, because I have my level, and it doesn't really matter who's on the other side of the fence. And I'm my own worst competitor, and I'm 100% my own worst enemy.
yep, yep.
Because sometimes that's got in the way of good performances.
So you're growing up, you're watching people, as you said, like Shifty, Alan Atkins, Tom Curry. Being a left-hander yourself, are you tending to more look at the Rodricks, the Alan Atkins left-hander style rather than the Tom Curry right-handed? Where does
Yep,
that
I
match
looked
up?
at I looked at Tony Roderick, and I looked at Alan Atkins, and I thought to myself, there is no way I am going to be able to emulate anything that Tony does. He was like, to me, he was just next level, just in
Genius.
release, in just everything. And then I looked at Alan Atkins, and I thought, pink hammer. I looked at his wrist guard. I looked at everything about the way he did things and the way he looked at the lane, and asked him a few questions. And I thought, he's the closest thing that I'm going to be able to duplicate. And because there was no coaches, you do the best you can with what you got.
Yeah. How much in technology at the moment, the change from urethane balls to resin balls, and I spoke to Tony about this. He was on our last episode, and the difference that it made to the game, and for people like Billy Gardner, it made it harder. The balls were just hooking so much. How have you transitioned into that? Have you changed anything in the way that you bowl, in the way of weights of your
I think
bowling
it's made
ball or
it
drilling?
easier.
Yep.
I think it's made it a lot easier for people like me who don't have a lot of revs. So I grew up in an era where if you wanted to be competitive, you needed to have a good sparer. So it's a good person to be able to shoot a spare, but I didn't have the revs to be able to whack a lot of strikes, and that sort of thing. But I still had my moments where I shot, quite a few 300s, and I could strike because I was accurate. but no help from the ball.
Yep.
So when we got out of the LT48s and the Manhattan rubbers and the and the sumos and that sort of ilk where you didn't have
Sumo.
any help.
Wow.
Yes. So I remember Kevin first drilled me up a sumo, and I was like a kid in a candy store. I thought,
Yeah. Yeah.
geez, now I actually look like I can turn the ball. So,
That
but
was
it
a
looked like a sponge going down.
that was an AMF ball,
It looked
wasn't
like
it?
a sponge.
Sumo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, when the resin balls came along, I was able to now get purchase on the ball plus technique. Over the years gets a little bit better, and you watch what's working for people, and you work. How can I make my game better than it was last week?
Yep.
What do I need to do to be able to compete with these guys who have the revs? And I started to use these balls to my advantage. My spares kept me in the hunt, and then when I started to get some strikes, I thought, I can beat these guys. And then, as I've said to people, this game is 30% ability and 70% what's between your ears.
Mm. Mm.
And I would have spent 5 years, I think, in my mind, where I had the game to beat some of these guys, but I did not have the mental game. So
Yeah.
I would be there on day one, 100%. I would be there for 3/4 of day two, and then you couldn't find me with a Sherpa and food rations. I would mentally did not have the game to compete.
How do you improve that? What is the way that you actually
I
build your
think
mental game?
I think it's when you bowl against the Car Bottomleys, the George Filingosses, the Drewies, the Rodricks, all these people who you've looked up to for so long, you tend to um, put them in the too hard, not the too hard basket, but you don't think you can actually beat them. And I think uh, to me, it was just like a light switch went off one day, and I went, you know what? I will never let anybody stand next to me and intimidate me. I don't care who they are. And once I switched that mentality, that's the same mentality I have today. It doesn't matter. I became my litmus test, not the person standing next to me, because I thought if they throw 12 strikes, so can I. So I never really get intimidated by a person who's standing beside me. It's more, it's more my benchmark, and
Yeah.
it's what's driven me to get to my level today, and what keeps me at my level today. Not the who, but it takes and I said to a couple of the juniors that I talk to and mentor, I go, nobody can give you that switch. They can give you words, they can give you techniques, but
Mm.
you have to look inside yourself and go, what do I want? Where do I want to be? How do I going to get there? And then when you look at the person that you're bowling against, look at yourself first.
Yeah.
Because you've got no control over what they do.
Yeah.
You only have control over what you do.
And
And
that's
I'm much better under the pump than I am if I'm 100 pins in front of you.
yeah. And that's great information for young kids who are watching this coming through. And yeah, stop beating yourself up so much and just go back to the basics of the game.
Everybody's going to throw crap shots.
Mm. Mm.
Everybody's going to throw crap shots. Everybody's going to throw crap games. It's how you come back from those crap shots. And what did someone say to me one day? You're only as good as your last shot, whether it's a strike or a miss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the boys were taking the mickey out of me at the dinner because I normally don't miss many seven pins, and I think I missed 9 out of 15,
Yeah. Wow.
and I lost probably 5 matches under 10 because of my
Yeah.
inability to hit a single pin.
So important.
And I got in my head about my thumb was sticking, so I got in my head about, do I grip it? Do I not grip it? Do I let it fall off? Do I? So of course my adjustments were 3 in the alley, miss 3 to the right, 3 into the alley, miss 3 to the right. So by the time I'd missed, I think the ninth one, if I'd have had a hacksaw, my ball probably wouldn't have survived its trip back to Brisbane. But because I sort of enough is enough. I can't miss one more of these things. So yes, Morty reminded me that at the dinner, which was which was quite nice of him. But yeah, it's that's what you enjoy about this sport. It's never over till it's over,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's never lost until it's lost. So what bowling has taught me is, you need to stay in the hunt.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you never know. So yeah, I mean, I've bowled in tournaments where it's been a carry fest.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I bowled in tournaments where, it's been like really hard. And the one thing someone says, oh, it must be easy on the left. As a lefty, if you bowl well on the left, it's easy on the left. If you bowl well, they say, what, are you legally blind?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can't win either way.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I've copped my fair share over the years, and it's water for ducks back to me. I don't really care about that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, when you go down to the tournaments down in Melbourne and the tournaments that I've gone to over the years, the open tournaments, I mean, the righties after 1.5, 2 games are bending it without any problems, and guys like me who don't ever have a lot of revs, you may only have 4 guys in your squad. So I'm fresh for 18 games.
Yes. Yeah.
And in a lot of those tournaments, I haven't found the solution. Now, I'm not blaming the pattern. It's not the pattern's fault. It's the person who's throwing the ball that can't find the solution.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But, the more I bowl those, the more, if I was to go overseas, the more chance I got.
The one question I was gonna ask you was, being left-handed. I remember many years ago I was bowling, I think, at the Redcliffe Open, and Carl was with me. I think it was matched up with Carl Bottomley, good mates, as you know, and he was constantly looking around, and I mean, I never became a good bowler at all, but just watching his craft, he would be looking around at the next pair, and he'd come up to me and say, hey, they're all throwing through 15 up here. You want to get off 10, move to 15. This is where the shot is, Being a right-hander, you've got so many people to actually look at and see where is everyone throwing the ball, what's working, what's not. Is that a disadvantage, obviously, for the left-hand side of the lane because you don't have people to line up against?
I've never, over the years, I've never gone looking to see what another lefty is doing. Because, I've never seen a lefty throw it like me.
Yep.
Not that I throw it special. Don't get me wrong. It's not about me being, I don't have a heap of revs. You know what I mean? But there's no guy that currently that I see out there who throws it like me. So if I'm bowling in a tournament, I walk up there and go, well, why am I looking at him? He doesn't throw it like me. He probably doesn't throw the same bowling ball as me. So I've always over the years just worked it out myself, to be honest. It just doesn't. I've just, in my mind, it's never made much sense going and watching somebody. I think the only person I've watched over the years, if I do watch in a tournament, I'd go down and see where George is throwing it.
Yeah.
That's probably the only lefty that I would even look at that throws it remotely like I do. And I would look where he would throw it. And I know that he would come down and look where I was throwing it. So, at least you had sort of like a half idea about where to start from.
Yeah. Mate,
but I spent 20 years stuck down the left-hand side where George was. And I realised very early on in the piece that if I stay here, I'm never going to be competitive. And because when I went down south, if the shot wasn't down 1, 2, 3 or 4 board, neither was I.
Yep.
So I spent 18 months standing over on the right-hand side of the lane on 35, throwing it down 10 to 19.
Yeah, really.
And getting hammered by everybody in league, in tournaments, just getting smashed.
Mm.
But I thought, if I can master being comfortable here, then doesn't matter where the pattern is, I'll be comfortable.
Yeah.
So now I can stand anywhere, and I may not find the solution or may not find the perfect role, but I don't ever feel uncomfortable standing anywhere on the lane now.
Yep. So you
which
can throw.
I did for.
You can throw deep inside the line as well.
I feel comfortable throwing it.
Yeah,
because I don't have a lot of revs, so I have to be super accurate.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But I don't feel uncomfortable standing on the lane there and trying to, manufacture that shot.
Yep.
The same as if it's funny, it's almost an oxymoron. Now, if I have to go and shoot down the edge, I can do it. It's where I spent 20 years throwing the ball. But it's not where I start now. People always tell me, you need to start left and migrate right. I actually start right and migrate left. So I'm actually doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's unusual.
So I've actually... I've double whammied myself. Mentally now, I start right and migrate left, and I'm an idiot because I should be starting left and migrating right.
I wouldn't say it's an idiot. It's obviously bloody working, mate.
So, you do, you're a product of your own environment, aren't you? So, but I practice both shots. So, I don't ever want to feel uncomfortable standing on the lane because if I get a coach, which is very hard to find.
Yeah.
Well, I found it very hard to find a coach. So, I try and glean as much information off the people that I think, have the knowledge and can help, and then try and put it into my own game as best as I can put it in there.
Yep. Hey, let's take you back to the beginning. This is one of the questions that I really don't like asking bowlers because it's the same thing all over the time. But you grew up in Queensland.
Yep.
Yeah. When did
Yeah.
you
Grew up in Queens.
when did you start bowling? How did you start bowling? What got you into it? And when did you feel you became the person? Hey, I'm competitive. I can do this.
I started in '77. I had my parents and my brothers and all that. We went up to Greenslace Bowling Alley. It's only about 10 minute drive from my house, and
Yep.
we started bowling. And then four of us said, "Oh, let's just join a league, something to do on a night." So we came up there, and none of us could bowl, so we just threw the ball down and had a bit of a joke and a laugh. And then I came in there one Saturday because a chunk had been taken out of my ball in league, and there were these two guys practicing up on the left. And I thought, who are those guys? And so I sat behind them with my little bottle of Coke, and they were just like striking, and the ball was turning. And one was Alan Atkins, and I'm not sure whether the other one was Fred Alsop. I can't remember who the other guy was from memory, but I just was just mesmerised. I thought, how good are these guys? So I didn't say anything. Went back home. Get the league the next day, same, putting it side of a for a handful of rice. And then I just thought, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm one of these guys. If I'm going to do something, I have to do it properly. How do I get better? And that started the journey in my mind about how do I get better. So I now started to hunt down the people who were good, watch the Carl Bottomleys, the Andrew Drews, the Georges, the people who in my mind were just in another echelon. And I just thought, what can I glean from these guys to add to my game? And to me, it was never about you know, am I going to get better? It's just what building blocks do I need to put in to get to that level? And then I just started the journey, and I'm still on that same journey of trying to be better than the other guy on the other side of the lane. And you just start adding the little pieces, and I've loved it. I love the first throw, the shot I ever throw, and I still love it as much today as I loved it back then. And I've loved the sport. It's given me so many friendships over the years, and
Yeah. Yeah.
in different centres around Australia. And what keeps me going is I don't like to lose. Like I said, I'm my own litmus test, not anybody else.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, I just try and be the best person I can be every time I get on the lane. Whether it's league or whether it's a tournament, the mentality is the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't switch it on for league and then switch it on for tournament. It's the same.
Yeah. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Such a long career. What keeps you motivated to keep you going, bowling every week in every tournament that you're bowling? But you've just nailed it with exactly that. And
And
Tony and I had the same. Tony Roderick and I had the same discussion. I don't know if it was on camera or off camera, but it's the friendships that you make throughout your life of journey. And I said to him, I said, "What is it about tenpin bowling that just keeps you?" Right, Graeme, I haven't been in a bowling centre since for years and years and years and years, but yet I still love it. I still I still want to know what's going on in the game. Is it in good character? Is it still going well? The numbers up. It's just one of those things that never leaves you. It's and
I
it's
think the friendships are, the friendships never die. You can walk in bowls and people are happy to see you. We're all competitors. We're all trying to beat each other. We're all trying to get a goal. Some have personal goals. Some have, are there for the enjoyment. Some people like putting a lot of time into the game. Some don't. Some just do it for the friendships and being in the bowling community. And so we're all there for different reasons. But the underlying thing is, they're all friends. We all have this reason why we do it. We do it. I mean, I would have hoped and I believe that we all do it because we love the sport. The friendships are a byproduct of being able to do something we all love. Um, and if you're lucky enough to win something, that's great. But I would love it whether I win, whether I don't win. Like I said, you take the accolades and the wins along the way, because that's, I suppose, it keeps you motivated to keep wanting to put time into your game. But um, you know, everybody has their reason why they want to get better, or if they want to get better. And yeah, I just love the sport to death. I love watching people get better. Nothing beats now watching the young guys that I talk to and the young girls actually get better. That's, if I when I leave the sport, I hope I've helped a few people, get better, either in their mental game or in their, in some of their physical game. If if I've left some sort of mark on their games, then I've given back to something that has given so much to me in my life.
Yeah, yeah, mate. If you weren't bowling, what would you do?
Well, I thought about being a professional golfer. I did want to be a professional golfer when I many moons ago, and I was down on a four handicap, and I actually left on the 15th hole of an A grade comp to go and bowl in the Australian Open.
Yeah, you're kidding me.
And
Yeah, right.
I came down Robinson Road on my motorcycle, went through the lights at Lutwich Road there, and the bloke hit me doing 70 k's. Broke both my legs, my knees, my feet, and put me in plaster for many months. And when I came back, I couldn't walk the golf course like I could before. I could still
No.
swing the golf club, but I couldn't walk 18 holes. So it was at that moment that I decided that I could still bowl, although I couldn't get down as low as I could because my knees were smashed to smithereens. But I couldn't walk the golf, so I couldn't play pennants. I couldn't get to where I wanted to be, so I had to have made a choice. And I said, "Well, okay, I can still bowl. I can still be good. How do I modify my bowling swing now to make up for my inability to get lower because of my knees, and my back goes out sometimes? So how do I can still do that and be competitive?" So now I just play golf. I go around in like 9 or 10 over. I'm happy. I don't, it's not a big thing. It's more like a bad excuse for a walk. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yep.
and bowling became my passion, and I just kept bowling. And golf just became a side thing that I do when I got time and I got mates to go and play with.
Unbelievable. See, the things you don't know about people. I've known you for so long, had no idea about the golfing side of it. So, yeah. Thanks, mate. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. I've had an absolute blast talking to you, mate. But we do have one more thing to go to finish up on, and we have what is called the Frothy six pack, and it's a quick fire 6 questions that I ask the same questions to everyone who comes on the show. If you're happy to go down that track, mate.
Yeah, go for your life.
Here we go. Question number 1. Who's your most feared opponent of all time? Who's the person you don't want to line up in a final against?
I don't want to line up. Probably, funny enough, Michael Little.
Yeah? Yep.
He always just, I don't know. I just when I looked across the lane, I went, man, this guy's a tank. His game is a tank,
Yeah.
and I just thought, yeah, if I didn't want to bowl against someone, it'd be Michael Little. Funny enough.
Keep your eye out, mate, because Michael Little's coming up on the show in the next couple of weeks.
I
So,
know.
yes. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. I got some amazing people coming up, and I've called this show Legends of the Lanes, and I cannot speak highly enough of the legends who are coming onto this show. They are, you included, people who have evolved tenpin bowling, and just made the great sport that it is in Australia. So, yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled, and I hope people are enjoying, what I'm doing. But number 2, your favourite bowling centre.
Green slopes.
Love it,
Loved it. Just loved it.
Are you the
It
same
was
as me?
open. I loved the approaches.
Yep. When you walk in the bottom entrance downstairs, and I believe it's
Yep.
still there today, you would walk in and there would be that bowling centre smell, and I cannot
Yep.
get that smell out of my head. I just loved it, and I was addicted to the place. And as you know, I worked there for a long time, and it was just big part of my life. So,
Yeah.
great,
Yeah. Loved it.
great place. Number 3, your most memorable win.
My first Australian Open.
How many have you won?
3.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Billy Gardner said that was his cream of the crop. That was his number one tournament that he wanted to win.
I suppose it was because um, that and the Venuto Cup, because I walked in the second day and someone said, "Oh, the tournament's already over." I said, "What do you mean? I've still got 9 games to bowl." And they said, "Oh, yeah, but he's so far in front, you'd have to average 8 strikes a game, something for like 9 games." And I went in and averaged 8 strikes for 9 games and won it by 35.
Yeah, wow.
So, and that's one of those sayings, it's never over until it's over.
Yeah.
Because I always maintain that if you've bowled that well on one day, why can't I bowl that well on one day?
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah.
Question number 4, mate. Who did you look up to as a bowler?
I looked up to Carl, Drury, George, Alan Atkins, the people who I had on they were in a different level to me. They were, already well-established bowlers, had great mental games, had great, great scoring abilities, were able to pull a lane apart and find a shot. And I just thought, how are these guys doing this? I want to be like them. I want to be able to work out how they do it, why they do it, when they do it.
Yeah.
And, those guys were just a different ilk when I started.
Nothing more frustrating than you can't find the pocket and you're looking at the guy next to you and he just cannot miss the pocket. And I'm thinking, what are you doing so different than what I'm doing? They're amazing.
Yeah, but that's what makes the sport great, isn't it?
Very true. Makes the bowlers great. Yeah. Number 5, mate. One tournament that you'd love to go back and bowl again.
Go, as in what I bowled bad and would like to do it again, or just bowl again?
Just a tournament that you loved, like the Quickfire, the South Pacific, or anything.
I'd like the South Pacific. I remember Tom Curry knocking me out, and first time I'd actually come up against Tom, and I went, "Who is this guy?" It's like
he's a competitor.
He reminded me this massive forearm, and this guy's like in my face. I'm going, I was like, what have I got myself into here?
Yeah.
And I remember him getting 3 strikes in the 10th to beat me. I'm just going, I was not a happy camper. Not only do I not like you, I don't know you. And that was made it worse.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go back and get a bit of revenge, I suppose. Because he mentally scarred me for a little while.
Yeah. He was a bowler, man.
Nice man, but
a great bloke.
Intense.
I got on very well with him, but he was just very aggressive on the lanes. Very, very aggressive. But it worked.
Very intense man.
Your last question for the day, mate. What's your favourite bowling ball you've ever used?
My favourite bowling ball? I'd have to say the Johnny Petrake at the LT48.
Seriously?
Yeah. I don't know. It just felt good on my hand. I know. I just was one of those balls where, you love it or you hate it. And in the current, and in the current balls, I think maybe a full effect. I think would be.
Who's that, mate?
Hammer. So, Hammer's put out some really great balls, and I've loved a lot of their balls.
I've got to tell you, the LT48 was probably one of the stinkiest bowling balls to drill.
Yeah. The cork centre.
It was bloody horrible. Yeah, it just burn your nose. Oh, horrible. Some of those bowling balls were pretty bad. And looking back, health and safety, we probably all should have been wearing masks drilling bowling balls back in those days. But,
yeah, and the sumo, there's been a lot of different good balls in different eras that sort of like stand out.
Yeah.
That they were just like different type thing.
Yeah.
And I always went and bowled with whatever Kevin told me to bowl with.
Yep. Yeah,
so
I think
he said bowl with that, we bowl with that.
The progression of bowling balls, I look back and I think the YU dot, I think of the orange Piranha C when that came out. The Phantoms, I was a big fan of those. There's been a lot of icon balls, and now they're just pumping them out so quickly. It's just letting a new ball out every week.
No matter which brand you look at, there's some great bowling balls out there, and the talent level today is just off the planet. Just literally off the planet.
Yeah,
so many good bowlers.
Well, Graeme, mate, it's been fantastic to chat and catch up again, mate. We've known each other for a long, long time. I think I've been in the bowling industry for probably 25 years, and I reckon I've known you pretty much for all of that. seeing we're both Greenslopes people, and been an absolute honour to talk to you today, mate. And yeah, I'll keep an eye on your progress, and let's cross our fingers and hope you get into that representative team, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Much appreciated.
Been great to have you on. All the best, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
See
You
you,
too.
mate.